do that. Now, a little bit about making sauces, a little bit about making roux thickened sauces here. We basically don't want, we want the roux to be hot and the liquid to be cold, or the liquid is hot and the roux is cold. In this case, I'm just going to use cold water and go right into a hot roux, but opposites work best for this, okay? So that's going to be one of the things. Another thing is you're going to need a whisk for this. I think I'm going to use this one. It's a flat whisk because I have all these chunky things in there. I like using this guy. I can still smooth out my sauce without having vegetables flying all over my kitchen like a balloon whisk would do, okay? And they don't get all stuck inside of the whisk if you've ever had that happen, right? So I'm going to use a flat whisk for this. Let me get some more water. And basically the third thing about incorporating a roux is that we do it in 3 steps, okay? And so the idea here is if I want to thicken a gallon of water and I got a pound of roux, if I just dump, let's just say I got the gallon, right, and I throw a pound of roux in it, it just sinks to the bottom and I got this big old lump in the bottom, but I try and get in there and to break it up, I'm chasing that lump around in all of this liquid. If I have a third of that liquid, it's so much easier to smooth that out. And then I'll add another liquid and I'll turn on the heat and it'll start getting thick. I'll smooth it out again, and then I add the third amount of liquid. But you don't want to throw a whole gallon of liquid in there. It's really, really hard to break down this ball of roux, that thickener that we got going on, okay? So I'm gonna put in, I've got the fire down, okay? Very important, I take it off the fire. I put in some liquid, so I just put in a glass of water, and I'll need another one. And I'm gonna get in there with my whisk, and I'm going to smooth out that roux into the liquid. And it's hard for you guys to see. Let me adjust. There's no fire on under there. If there's fire, that starch will start activating, soaking up liquid, and it's going to start gumming up on you really quick. So heat is necessary for this thickening to happen. A roux with cold water is nothing's going to happen. You got to have the heat. Okay, so check that out, okay? I got a really thick liquid there. You got to drag something through to really tell what it looks like, okay? Super thick, okay? But that's cool. We only got 1/3 of my liquid in there. Now, by the way, heat's still off. I'm going to add my next. There's another third. By the way, I'm not measuring here. I'm eyeballing things, right? I'm just cooking. Again, that's my goal, to get people to just be able to walk in the kitchen. Hey, what do I got in the cupboard? Let's throw down, okay? That's what I want. Okay. So no heat, I've gotten in there and I've smoothed out that liquid. And I'll show you that. See the consistency now? It's a little saucier, right? Looks like sauce right about now. That consistency of sauce, the French term nappe, right? It's about a nappe stage right now. It means it naps the back of a spoon if I drag a spoon through it, okay? I'm gonna throw in a little more liquid here. But the next third of my liquid, I'm not committing to all of it, okay? I'm gonna go ahead, right now it's at a good consistency, but the minute I turn on the heat, it's gonna start thickening, okay? It's really not thickening too much. I don't know how thick this will be until it hits a full boil, okay? So very, very important. I've turned on the heat, and now I'm gonna cook it, and we're gonna start seeing. Oh, I almost got a splash. You guys still happy? It's Quarantine Kitchen happy hour. We got to be happy with this. I can feel it thickening in the center of the pot. I want you to notice that I have gotten away from my whisk at this point, and I'm back to my wooden spoon. I don't want that metal on metal. I want a minimum of that. So I have my whisk here and just in case this starts really chunking up again. Otherwise, I'm using wooden spoon, which is great for just scraping off anything, any of that black fond, the dark fond on the bottom. Great for that stuff. And this is getting thicker as we talk, okay? The heat's coming up. You can see I'm almost dragging a trench through this sauce right now. And notice that it's thicker in the center than it is out here on the edges. That's where the heat is. I won't know how thick this is until I hit a boil. It was, very common in culinary school. Students, hey chef, what do you think about my consistency? I wouldn't even look at it. I would ask them, has it hit a boil yet? No, not yet. keep cooking and ask me when it hits the boil. I can't know how thick it is until it hits the boil. Okay, it's getting thicker right now, I think, and it's at the boil. I just hit the boil. I'm gonna add some more liquid to it, but I'm not committing to all of it. I'm gonna go about halfway. We'll see what this looks like. I got my heat cranked back on. If that got kind of clumped up or anything like that, I would have gone back to the whisk. Get the lumps out and then go back. Right now, I'm not seeing any lumps in my roux. This is how we make a lump-free sauce. Going over that again, cook out your roux, and then 1 pound of roux is good for 1 gallon of liquid. And then you incorporate your liquids in thirds using a whisk, and then you bring it up to a boil, a full boil, and keep stirring with a wooden spoon. Once we have this sauce, my meat's going back in, and the lesson's, not much left to the lesson after that. I'm not going to make you sit here for the next 4 hours to watch my short ribs cook, but what I will do is I'll post a quick little vid on my industry cooking classes page, and you guys can kind of see me, like, I'll just cut into one of the short ribs so you can just see it like melting, It's going to be beautifully tender. All right, it's thickened up a little bit. I'm not one of those guys that likes a really thick, clumpy sauce, so I'm gonna have it a little bit on the thin side. It's gonna be cooking for a while. I went ahead and just threw in a full cup of water again. I'm gonna bring this back up to a boil, and then I'm gonna work my meat into the pot. I might even adjust that liquid a little bit more. If I get to the end of this process and I need a little adjustment, let's say my sauce is a little on the thin side, that's where I'm going to work in a little cornstarch slurry or something like that. I don't want to do this whole thing with cornstarch because it looks transparent. You ever see the sauces in Chinese restaurants like sweet and sour? Those are straight thickened with straight cornstarch, and you get that transparent look. That would look really funky in a stew. It would look really funky in a clam chowder. So what we do is we will thicken with flour or some other alternative, right? And then at the end, if we need a slight adjustment, I can adjust clam chowder or a stew or something with a little bit of equal parts of cornstarch and water, and I throw that in when it's cool, whisk it in, and it's going to thicken it right up and take it right where I want to go. Okay, this guy is furiously boiling right now. It's not going to get much thicker than it is right now. Let me just kind of show you what that looks like. It's pretty steamy in there, but you can see that is a nice nappe consistency coating the back of my spoon, basically. I hate really, really thick roux-based sauces. Thick clam chowder, everybody says, oh, I love a thick clam chowder. No freaking thank you, okay? I want a chowder that's a soup, okay? When I see a thick clam chowder, all that makes me think is the people in the kitchen are not adjusting it. They made it at 8 in the morning and it's been sitting there all day congealing, and they're not adjusting it in real time as they go. You should hit it with a little fish stock or something every once in a while. Reheat it, check the seasoning and consistency. You should be checking the consistency of something anytime you're gonna serve it to somebody. You don't wanna serve anybody something that's just thick and globby. I think most people are just used to getting clam chowder that's been abused, and so they think they like it. But I'll tell you, clam chowder is supposed to be a soup, not a summit, okay? And that goes with all sauces. I hate that thick, gooey sauce. Nasty. Okay, so we're back to the braising technique. Again, we started out by searing the meat, and then we seared vegetables. We pincé tomato paste in there to get even more umami, more color in there. We songé flour and cooked it into a roux. We incorporated liquid in 3 stages. Oh man, I'm gonna hurt my back doing this stuff. That's where we are right now. I'm gonna add my meat in there. I'm just gonna use my fingers. I may have to add a little more liquid. We shall see. I've got to kind of pack them in due to the size of my pot, but that's okay to kind of pack them in. I think we'll fit. It's beautiful. They just barely all fit. I'm really glad I pre-tied these. I tied my little pieces earlier so they're not going to fall apart during this cooking process. I cut my short ribs. They were long, and I cut them down into smaller pieces for 2 reasons. A smaller piece can get tender a little bit quicker, but the main thing was if I cut them into those small pieces and now I have more surface area, I can get that much more flavor when I sear and everything. It's going to yield more flavor. Now, all of that meat is down in there, but the top is dry. I'm going to flip everything so it's kind of coated in liquid, and it's all shiny, and I'll show you my pot in 1 second, and there's only really a few more things to throw in here. It looks glorious. I'll tell you people, I wish I could invite you all over for dinner tonight because this is going to be good. Even though it's just made with water. It's made with, I think we said 6, 7 ingredients, right? That's all I've got in here. Oh, flour. I think that was my 8th ingredient. And water if you want to count it, but something I didn't say about the water, we always use cold water. Never, never cook with the water out of your hot water tap. Taste the hot water out of your shower sometimes and you'll know what I'm talking about, right? We want that cool, fresh water coming out of your water pipes. We don't want that nasty, mineralized, funky tasting water out of your nasty, rusty hot water tank, okay? Always use cold water. Let's see. Now, I want to show you this. You can see everything is kind of moist in there. I'm going to kind of bring up my temperature here. The go-to temperature for braising is simmer, okay? I'm not looking for a rolling boil here. What I'm looking for is bloop, 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 bloop. Just little bubbles here and there coming up, low and operative word, slow. That's what I'm looking for this, okay? And that is what's gonna break down those connective tissues. Let me talk about boiling. People often use the term boiled meat or boiling stock, things like that, right? That is a no-no. If I boil this thing, it's counterintuitive. It actually dries your meat out. It's weird. It's in liquid, but the meat is getting dry. How does that happen? What's happening is those proteins are denaturing. They're coagulating basically and tightening up and getting tighter and tighter. Picture water being wrung out of a wet towel, okay? That's what you're doing to your meat when you boil it. Even though it's sitting in liquid, it's gonna get dry as a bone and it's gonna be like eating mouthfuls of sand, okay? So a gentle simmer. It's going a little hot and heavy for me right now. I'm not liking that, so I just turned it down. And I want to kind of start finishing up. I need to transition here, just like 30 seconds. I'm going to hum a little bit and clean this stuff up. I think I'll hang on to this little thing and my wooden spoon, but I definitely don't need the whisk anymore. The only thing I use that for, again, is incorporating the roux. Once that's done, get it out of your kitchen. Put it far away so you're not tempted to get in there and start whisking it when you really should be using a wooden spoon, okay? So far, so good, guys? Good? Art Oliva, good to see you, sir. Real nice guy. It's just like Foundations 2 all over again. All these ex-students, I love it. Oh, yes. Isabel, good to see ya. Not only authentic culinary school, she's been, but totally engaging. Oh, guys, you gotta, I don't take compliments well. I'm a softie and I'll just start getting all choked up here. You guys gotta stop that stuff now. Come on. Get back to business here. Genesis, still hanging with you. Kirk, good to see you. Kirk Miranda, another ex-student. Hey, all you cooks out there, all my cookies, man, throw some comments out there, share this with your friends, people, your civilian friends that don't know how to cook, turn them on to this, guys. It's the same stuff you learn in culinary school, and I'm doing it for nothing. Guys, you know, they don't get to taste, but like you guys did. But other than that, hey, you got to admit, this is just what we talked about in school, okay? All right, it's still going a little hot and heavy. Couple more ingredients I want to throw in here just for flavor. I'm going to add a couple of bay leaves in there. I think everybody knows what a bay leaf is. I'm going to drop those guys in there and let them just kind of cruise around. I'll put them in a couple of little spots, okay? I always count them. I have 5 pieces in there so I can get them all out. Another thing I want to do is I'm going to smash a couple garlic cloves and throw them in there. Garlic is a gift from the gods. So I just kind of put that, whoa, it exploded. I pressed a little hard. I put it stem side down and just put a little weight on it. The whole thing popped apart. I just need about, I think I'll do about 4 cloves in here. Clean up a little garlic, that's going in. We're not too far from the end here, guys. Not too far at all. Oh yeah, Andrew Courtright, good to see you, sir. Another ex-student. Joe O'Connor, another student. That is awesome. What cocktail are you going to make? Oh, I'm not doing really cocktails. I'm just drinking them. I'm sorry, Ms. Bruce. I know you're an expert. Maybe someday you can be a special guest when this is all over and we can talk about cocktails, because that's another thing that's not really in my wheelhouse. I usually drink liquids out of bottles and cans and things like that. I don't know much about mixed drinks, I'm sorry to say. I am currently drinking coffee and I don't want to tell you what's in here. Red